Hey everybody, so I thought I'd give you an answer key for Monday's Candy Challenge. The first one says, what is the difference of 87 and 49? So difference definitely means subtract. So when we stack them, we make sure the bigger number's on the top. And so when we look at the ones place, the bigger's on the floor, so we go next door and get 10 more. The 8 turns into a 7, the 7 becomes a 17, and then we can go to work. 17 take away 9 is 8, 7 take away 4 is 3, so our answer is 38. What is the value of the 8 and 84? Well, when you say the number, you hear the value as you say this in the number. So the value of the 8 is 80. For the value of the 6 in this number, it's in the hundreds place, so when we say it, the value would be 600. When rounded to the nearest tens place, which number below would round to 50? Well, we know that anything that ends with a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 is going to round up to the next 10. Anything that ends with a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 will round back to the nearest 10. So the correct answers that would round to 50 would be 45, 54, 49, and 51. What is the sum of 53 and 87? So sum is our hint that we need to add. Doesn't matter which one you put on top, as long as you stack them nice and neat. When you add the ones place, 3 plus 7 is 10. We have to regroup. So we put our 0 here. We take our 10 to the tens place. We add 1 plus 5 plus 8, and we get 14. We can bring the 4, carry the 1, and in the hundreds place, we add it down and we bring down our 1. So the answer is 140. Troy's box can hold 56 crowns. There are only 18 crowns in there now. How many crowns does he have left to put in the box for it to be full? There's lots of ways you could figure this one out. I like to think start, change, result. And since he wants to fill his entire box, I'm thinking, what does he start with? Well, he starts with 18 crowns. And how many does he need to put in the box? Well, we don't know that. And then we know that when he puts them together, he'll end up with 56 crowns. So we could count up that way. Or since we know fact families, we could take the two littles and make the big. But since we don't have one of the littles, we could flip it around and do 56, take away the 18 that are already in there, and figure it out that way. Well, if you do it this way, more's on the floor, go next door, we subtract, and we get an answer of 38. When you choose the true statements, remember, I like to call it the alligator mouth. The greater than symbol points to the first number. If the alligator points to the second number, then that means it could care less about that first number, so it would be less than. So to see if they're true, always start comparing in that hundreds place or whatever your biggest place is. So it's saying this one's bigger. Nope, this one is, so this should not be chosen. It's saying, oh, there's a 9 in the hundreds place, so let's look in the tens. We have a 0 and a 1. Well, 1 is bigger, but he's disagreeing, so that one's not right. Well, it looks like the 7 and the 7 are the same. The 6 and the 6 in the tens place, the 3 and the 3 in the ones place. They are equal. 843 is greater than 834. Well, since we have an 8 in the hundreds place, let's look at the tens. 4 and a 3, they're different, and the 4 is bigger. Our alligator is pointing to this way, so it is greater than, and that is true. Now this one could be tricky. This is not the hundreds place, this is the tens place. And we have a hundreds place, so automatically we know that because he has 100, he's going to be bigger, but our symbol doesn't match it, so we get rid of that one. Same thing here, this one has a hundreds place, this one doesn't, so he's bigger. So we know that this one is actually true. Sarah wrote 564 words in her story, and Matthew wrote 839. How many more words did Matthew write than Sarah? Well, a big hint is it's telling us how many more words did Matthew write. So we know Matthew wrote more. So we know to figure out how many more, we know 564 is going to add up to 839. But an easier way to do it would be to stack them. And this is going to be a hard one because we've only worked with the tens place, really. So this one's a little bit of a challenge. But if we have 839 words that Matthew wrote, and we take away the 564 words, we'll be able to find out how many extra words Matthew wrote. So bigger's on the top, no need to stop. 9 take away 4 is 5. 3 take away 6. Well, we can't do that. Bigger's on the floor. So we have to go next door and get 10 more. When we do our math and we subtract, we get 7. We do our math here and we get 2. So the answer is 275. Now this one is a little tricky the way it was drawn. I would put in this as the 0, and then here's the first jump, here's the next jump, here's the next jump, and I would make this be our 1. This is our 1 over here. Okay, so when you want to find the fraction where this x is sitting, first of all, we know a fraction has a top and a bottom. The bottom number is how many pieces are in the whole thing. So if we count our jumps, this one doesn't count because it's like our starting line. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So the 4 goes on the bottom out of all the pieces. Now the top number is what the question's asking us. So it says, what is the fraction of the x on the number line? Well, the x is sitting at the 1, 2, 3. The third out of 4 spots in the whole shape. So the answer would be 3/4. Find the difference of 75 and 49. Since we see difference, I like to think there's a minus sign going through the F's right there. We're going to subtract, but this is where you got to really make sure, since we're subtracting, who goes on top? Well, the bigger number. So 75 is bigger than 49, so we want to subtract it. When we look here, we say, oh, bigger's on the floor. Go next door and get 10 more. And when we subtract them, we get 6 and we get 2. Now another way you could do this is you could draw it out with base 10 blocks if you needed to, and do your 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to take away 49. Well, if you take away 9, we don't have enough. So we have to crush a 10 and move it into the ones place. There's 10. And then I can take away my 4 10s. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I also can take away my 9 1s. So I'm left with 26, which is the same thing, just another way to do it. Now, when we talked about this last week, how many inches are in a foot? Well, the answer would be there are 12 inches, and we abbreviate with an IN period. When we talked about how many ounces are in a pound, well, we know that an ounce is about the weight of a piece of bread, and a pound is about the weight of a loaf of bread. And there are actually 16 ounces in 1 pound. Crazy little abbreviations. Hope you did well.